Hello, hello. Good afternoon, everybody. How are we doing today? If I can get a quick audio and video check from you, let me know that you can hear me. I'm coming through loud and clear. And if you can see my screen here, make sure we've got good audio and video so that we can move forward here. If you can just type into the questions bite. All right. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate that. All right. Well, thank you for joining us today, guys. I hope everybody's had a good week. And today we're going to talk a little bit just in general about trading at Nadex Binaries part-time and at night, because I know that a lot of you are, part-time traders. You have, full-time jobs, you're just getting into trading, you're a part-time trader. Maybe you can trade, before work, or maybe some of you have the ability to trade a little while you're at work. I know we've got a lot of people that, trade on their breaks and their lunch breaks. And a lot of you trade at night. And so I want to talk to you a little bit about that. And I know, years back, when I first started, I was kind of a part-time trader as well. And there were several things that were very frustrating to me when I didn't quite have the best schedule of knowing, when to trade at night or when not to. And, I had some help kind of putting those pieces together, really turned it around for me, and just kind of want to walk through it with you guys in general of some things that might really help you out. Okay, so let's get our disclosures knocked out here. Trading futures options or any financial instrument involves risk, may not be suitable for every investor. Also, guys, any webinar that we're on, if you see me pull up the Nadex platform and, enter an order, that is not trading advice or recommendation in any way. That's me just simply, trying to help you visualize what it is I'm trying to teach you or show you, or help you understand, how to actually functionally use the Nadex platform and the ticket submit form. But any trading decision is your sole responsibility. And as always, past performance not indicative of future results. So real quick, if you're new to Nadex, hop on over to nadex.com. You can go through here and get some great information up top here. Nadex basically offers two different products. They offer binary options and spread options. And you can go through these two tabs here and get some great information on those, information about the different markets. Up here under market news, just kind of some, outlooks of what's going on with the markets and things to look out for. It might help you formulate some of your own, trading ideas that you can incorporate. Learning Center, great resource right here. All kind of videos, recordings, FAQs. If you go right here to webinars, and most of you are probably familiar with this, but two kind of areas I want to direct you to. Right here on demand, if you've missed some past webinars, or if you want to rewatch this webinar that's being recorded, you can click right here on demand and go down here and find me right here, John Skelton with Apex Investing, and you'll be able to get a full library of some of our past webinars, okay? Or if you're brand new and anything on this webinar might be, over your head or you're not quite familiar with, in these recordings here, we have everything from the very, very basics, of what is a binary, what is a spread, how do they work, up to, choosing the right ones, different strategies. We kind of start with the basics and build up. So you can always go back through here and catch up on your own, time frame and on schedule anytime. If you want to see what webinars are coming up, you can click right here under upcoming webinars. You can see the date and times. You can see the the schedule of events and get registered for some of these upcoming webinars here, get reminder emails, and so on. All right, so definitely get signed up for those. Under trading platforms, right here, I want to bring your attention to demo trading platform. If you don't have a demo account with Nadex, get one right now. Nadex will give you a free $25,000 demo account. All you got to do is fill out some quick information, select a username, and then hit Open My Practice Account. In just a few moments, you'll get an email from Nadex, and they'll send you a temporary password. You can log right into the demo account, okay? When you log in for the first time, go right up here to My Account, and then go right here to Settings, and then go to Password. You can change that temporary password they send you to a password of your choice. But a Nadex demo account is vital. It helps you get, especially if you're new or even if you're a veteran, because if you're new, it helps you get familiar with Nadex, get familiar with how to use the platform, enter in and exit in orders, how to navigate and go through and find all the different you know, binaries and spreads they offer, the different expiration times, and it's also a great place when you're practicing any new strategy or system to be able to practice it in demo as opposed to, you know, using your live money while you're practicing. It's a great place to work out the kinks, make some mistakes, master a new system or strategy, be profitable with that demo, you know, in demo with that strategy or system, be confident in it, master it, profitable, then move over to live. You know, and I've been trading Nadex for almost 6 years now, and I still use my demo account all the time. You know, I might be trading certain strategies live, but I'm testing out other strategies in demo, and as I test them and master them, then I move them over into live. Okay, so I have to give a lot of props to Nadex. They do a lot for their members, you know, tons of free education information, tons of support, tons of free tools. You've got the demo account, you know, inside of the platform, you know, you've got different type of charts and indicators and ladder chart. I mean, just a ton of, you know, free tools and free education information there for you. Make sure to definitely take advantage of that. So as I mentioned, my name is John Skelton. I'm with apexinvesting.com. And, you know, this webinar today is brought to you by and hosted by Nadex, and we appreciate them having us. They have us here just to help you, you know, understand who and what is Nadex, how do the products work, you know, what are some ways that we trade them, you know, how do we incorporate the Nadex products into our trading, and give you some ideas of how you can as well. You know, so we're here to answer questions, help educate you. Apex, we're an online education company. We've got over 25,000 members. You know, we have live trade rooms and strategies and systems and indicators and a ton of free training courses. You know, feel free to hop on over and check us out. You can get a, you know, free basic membership, check out everything. And a lot of our strategies and systems focus a lot on risk management and probabilities. That's why we love the capital risk products of Nadex. But we're traders just like you. And I've been with Apex now for about 5 years as head of operations. I've got a background in the banking industry and as a licensed stockbroker. But I'm a trader just like you. I trade Nadex binaries and spreads, you know, almost every day. And so, you know, we're a Nadex education partner, and that's what we're here for, is to educate you and help you in any way we can. So, you know, I've already showed you where you can go and check out some of the pre-recorded webinars from the past if there's anything you need to catch up on. Today's subject, we're going to talk about kind of what markets you can trade at night, you know, some nighttime strategies to check out in some of the recordings, and, you know, talk about some instruments available and news at night. I want to talk a little bit about, you know, schedules. Like I said, we're not going to get real deep into, you know, the basics of binaries and spreads or real deep into strategies and systems. I've kind of showed you where you can go through and check out some of those videos, you know, that might apply to that. But I want to help you just kind of look at some things a little bit differently to help you focus your nighttime or part-time trading, and to help you kind of focus on your schedule. Because I know for me and for many traders, hundreds of traders that I've worked with, you know, they've had some problems trading part-time or trading at night, and it wasn't quite working for them until we put a few of these, you know, tweaks out there, and it was kind of a little bit of a light bulb. And so I want to kind of go over some of that with you today. All right. So I've already showed you where today's recording and previous recordings will be and some of the basics. So I know that a lot of you that are, you know, especially those of you that are new to Nadex are, you know, you're new traders, you're part-time traders, you have a full-time job. You don't have time to sit and trade 8 hours a day or be in front of the charts all day and monitoring your computer all day. And honestly, none of us got into trading to have to do that either, right? None of us necessarily wanted to get in, even if we want to trade full time, we don't necessarily want to have to sit in front of the charts 8 or 12 hours a day, right? We want to be able to, you know, have some flexibility and some freedom there. And, you know, like I said, I know a lot of part-time traders that get up early before work to try to trade, you know, the London session, the overnight session, or, you know, try to trade the pre-open New York session, or like I said, trade on breaks or lunch breaks. A lot of people do trade in the evenings, all right? And sometimes there might not be certain long-term trend strategies that are ideal for you, okay? You know, you may prefer a shorter term strategy because, hey, I don't want to be sitting in a trade all day while I'm at work and can't really check on it as often as I would like. I want some shorter term trades. I want to know, you know, what is the best shorter term, you know, instruments or strategies that I could trade and when I should trade them. Now, some of you say, hey, I don't mind longer term because it's not as stressful for me, you know, especially with Nadex, because I can get daily expirations tomorrow. I can get, you know, end of the week expirations. So, you know, I don't mind trading a little further out because, you know, Nadex gives me that option and it's not as stressful for me. You know, so either way, that's kind of more, you know, your own personal decision of, you know, your trading style and your schedule and your, you know, risk tolerance and account size and what best fits you. There's no right or wrong. There's no holy grail. You know, some of you prefer the short term. Some of you like that longer term, giving it time and don't feel like you have to monitor it every, you know, 10 minutes throughout the day. Okay. But you know, as a new or part-time trader, Nadex binaries might be the perfect answer for you, you know, because you can get started with Nadex with a very, you know, low amount to open and fund an account. You know, you do have limited capped risk with Nadex. You know, you have, you know, very simple products to trade these larger markets with. You've got, you know, short-term expirations on binaries and spreads, and you have longer term. Okay, but for those of you that are looking for the shorter term just to trade, you know, on lunch break or in the evening, you've got a lot of options with Nadex. So let's talk about, I'm going to kind of address this webinar from the standpoint of, you know, like I said, at Nadex, we've got over 25,000 members. I've dealt with literally thousands of people that are trading Nadex binaries, and I've taught thousands of people about how to trade them and do's and don'ts and mistakes. So I'm going to kind of approach this webinar from, you know, what are some of the top kind of handful of issues that I've heard from people that are part-time or nighttime traders, okay? And how can we kind of, you know, steer you a little bit different path than which you might be on to help you with some of these very basic issues, okay? And one of the issues is, and I say this a lot to people, you know, we all have our favorite markets, as it were, right? I like this market, or I like how this market moves, or I like the name of this market, or this certain market was, you know, Uncle Jimmy's favorite market, whatever it may be, right? You know, for some of you, it's, oh, I love the NASDAQ, or I love the S&P, or, you know, I've talked to some people who are like, I never knew, you know, before I got into trading, all I ever heard about was, you know, the S&P and the Dow Jones, because that's what they always talked about on the TV, and I thought that's all there was to trade. So those are the charts I always have up, okay? And when it comes to trading, especially if you're part-time or a nighttime trader, you can't be married to certain markets, okay? You can't have a favorite. You can have a favorite market, but don't be married to that market and that's the only market you're watching. I can't tell you how many new traders I've talked to that say, hey, this isn't working out for me because I like to trade the Dow and the NASDAQ. And, you know, I'll trade it on my lunch break at work sometimes, and I do pretty good. But then, you know, 3 or 4 nights a week, I want to hop on and I want to trade for a couple hours at night. And, you know, my spouse is mad at me, my kids are mad at me, my friends are mad at me because I'm taking time away from my friends and family and from my life to sit in front of this computer at night. And I have no life anymore. And I'm sitting there for 2 hours a night, 3 hours a night, 3 or 4 days a week, and there's no trades, or I'm hardly getting any trades. And, you know, on my lunch break, I do okay, but at night, this just doesn't work, you know, because I'm really trying to dig in and learn these two markets. You know, I've heard people say, you know, be a master of one thing, not a jack of all trades, and I want to master trading. Well, you're on the right path there. You want to learn to be a master of something, and you want to master trading, but you have to also, to master something, you have to truly understand how it works. Or to master a new industry or career, you have to really, become a sponge and absorb everything you can, and be a student of the business, a student of the industry. And you think that what you're doing is you're turning a positive into a negative, meaning you're right. You want to master something, you want to focus, but that doesn't necessarily work all the time in that particular scenario. Because if you're trading the Dow and the Nasdaq, for example, those are what? Those are U.S. stock indexes. And the opening, pit, as it were, hours, what time does that open? Who can tell me? The U.S. stock indices, the Dow, the S&P, the Nasdaq, what time do they technically open? I mean, you can trade them 24/7 online, but what time does the actual, floor, as it were, open in the mornings? Anybody tell me that? Eastern time, what time they open? And what time do they close? Yeah, 9:30. All right, and then what time do they close? About 4 o'clock, right? So does it make sense why, hey, when I trade this in the morning on my break, or I trade these from 12, around lunchtime, I do okay. But when I go and I sit down from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern time at night, they're not always moving as much. And I feel like I'm sitting there wasting my time, or I'm not getting much out of it. And my spouse and my family is not real happy with me that I'm not around and I'm not having anything to show for it. Well, for some of you, this is very elementary, and you're going, well, duh, everybody knows that. It will surprise you that most new traders don't understand that, though. Okay, they think, hey, we're in an online 24-hour trading environment, so I only ever have to watch these two charts. Well, do you understand how it makes a lot of sense to watch, and focus on those couple of markets during the day? But when the main volume, and the open and close at 9:30 to 4, doesn't it kind of make sense? You might not always have as much happening in those markets from 7 to 9 p.m. at night, or 10 p.m. at night. So is that the best use of your time at night? And like I said, I bring this up because I've talked to thousands of traders, and I had this issue myself when I first started, because I didn't quite fully understand the picture. Okay. Also Europe, some of your European markets don't always move a ton in the evenings. All right. Who can tell me when the European markets open up? Well, I mean, again, they're on a different, time frame than us and time zone than us. And the European markets open up at 3 a.m. Eastern time, or well, yeah, 2 and 3 a.m. depending on exactly what you're trading. So 3 a.m. for their morning open is like 9:30 for our morning open. Okay. So do you understand how those particular markets may not give you the best moves at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock at night, right? Okay. Can anybody tell me what markets do open in the evening time? Between, let's say, 6 and 8 p.m. in the evening. Yep, Ernest, exactly. Japan, Australia, the Asian markets. Okay. So what does that kind of tell you, just kind of what we talked about right there? Okay. Yep, in New Zealand, right? So let's pull over the Nadex platform here. So in the evening times, I'm not telling you that these other markets don't move at all, because they do. All right. And if we've got, the morning open in, Asia and Japan and Australia, if those markets start really moving, that can affect the US markets and the European markets, right? Especially when it comes to forex. Let's just look at forex here real quick. All right, here on the Nadex platform, okay? Let's look at indices. What are some of the stock indexes you see here? You've got the China 50, which obviously is China. You've got the FTSE 100, which is London exchange. You've got the Germany 30, which is the German exchange. And you've got the Japan 225, which is the Nikkei. Okay, and these bottom four here are US indices. So you've got 4 overseas indices you could trade and 4 US indices you could trade. If you were going to look at trading indices, okay, now some of these require different data feeds depending on your charting, but you can get charts right here on Nadex too. If you want to trade indices and you want to trade at night, and when I say night, I'm talking like 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern time. Well, which of these do you think would probably move the most? The US indices could move, especially if these other markets are moving, okay? But you do have access to those Asian markets, okay? And like I said, if they start moving, the US ones will move as well. But let's also take a look at forex. So if I'm trading at 7 o'clock at night, and the 7, 8 o'clock, whatever, what do I know that what world markets are just opening? Well, we just said Asia, Japan, Australia, right? Okay, so I'm looking at 10 different forex pairs here. All right, let me tell you a little story. When I first started trading, I can remember one of my uncles years and years ago talking about this money he used to make trading the US dollar against the Canadian dollar. Dollar CAD right here, USD CAD. So that was always in the back of my mind, right? I want to trade like my uncle. So when I'd trade at night, I'd sit there and watching like these different charts on dollar CAD. Like I had like a long-term chart and like an hourly chart, and then like a 15-minute chart, and then down to a 5-minute chart, right? I thought I was smart. I'd seen these videos on YouTube, and I thought I was smart. I was seeing the bigger term, the midterm, and then I was getting down to like a 5-minute chart and what's happening right now, and I'm drawing these trend lines, and I'm putting in all these indicators, and I'm feeling all fancy, right? Went and got a second monitor on my computer. I felt all high-tech and cool, right? And I sat there, frustrated, because think about it. Was that the best use of my time? If I'm trading from, just as an example, 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. at night, Asia and Australia, Japan, those markets are opening. What is the US and the CAD market doing right then? The Canadian and US markets? Not a whole lot, right? Unless something's going crazy overseas, right? Does that make any sense? When I've got these other pairs to choose from. What's the top one on the list right here? Aussie yen. That's what? Australia, the Australian dollar versus the Japanese yen. What two markets just opened up? Australia and Japan. Does it make more sense for me to possibly watch the Aussie yen or the dollar CAD if I'm trading at night? Like some of you are sitting here going, okay, this is basic. Hello. It will surprise you how it's not basic to a lot of people. Even people who have traded for a while, but especially as a newbie, right? Does that make sense? Like, what should you be watching then? Okay, what do we have here? We also have the Aussie dollar. Granted, the US market, it's not morning open, but it's still Australian dollar versus US dollar. And this market just opened up, right? What about euro pound? Do you think that the euro pound should be at the top of your list to watch from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. at night? Any feedback here? The questions, like some of these questions I know are rhetorical, but jump in here. Like, those are both European markets, right? Europe opens at 3 a.m. I'm a part-time trader. I'm a new trader. I probably don't have a super trading computer with 20 monitors, do I? Should I be wasting time or monitor space on the euro pound at 8 o'clock at night? Unless unless there's some crazy news event. It doesn't make sense, right? I want to not only, hey, I don't have a supercomputer with 10 monitors, so I need to use my limited monitor space for the most effective thing I can. But also, is it really fair to yourself that you took out 2 or 3 hours of your evening away from your life, your spouse, your kids, your family, to watch euro pound and CAD dollar for 3 hours at night from 7 to 10 on a night where there's no news? Okay? And when I talk about 7 to 10, guys, I'm always talking about Eastern time, by the way. Okay? So does that make sense? Like, it's not making the most use of your time, is it? To watch the wrong markets at the wrong time. Okay? What about euro yen? You could watch that because of the yen, right? What about pound yen? Sure. What about dollar yen? Anything yen or Aussie related is probably needs to be towards the top of your list that time of night, right? And what do you have available to you? Well, at night, you're going to have, let's just pull up like dollar yen here. You have your intradays every hour. On the new hour at night, there's going to be a new binary that opens up and expires 2 hours later. So you're always going to, at night have those two options. You've got your dailies that you've got 3 a.m., 7 a.m., 11 a.m., 3 p.m., 7 p.m., 11 p.m., all the way out to the next night. You've got your weeklies that expire on Fridays. Okay. Also, right here under 5-minute binaries, okay, on these, I think it's 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, on these 7 different forex pairs, you've got 5-minute binaries, meaning every hour or every 5 minutes there's an expiration. Okay, so in just like a 2-hour period, all right, you've got a ton of expirations to choose from. 5 minutes, the hourlies, the weeklies, and then we haven't even talked about spreads. You got all kind of spreads, right? And then inside of each one of these, let's go back to dollar yen, you've got a ton of different strike prices to choose from. In the spreads, you've got a ton of different floors and ceilings. You've got a ton of options here to choose from to fit all type of different strategies, whether it's a trending night, a range bound time. But a lot of it has to do with understanding, first of all, how to make the most of your time. If you're a part-time trader, you've got very limited time. So don't be married to one market because you like it or you heard somebody talking about it. Be smart, understand the industry you're trading, and figure out what markets you should be watching at that time. First of all, right? Does that make sense? Again, for some of you, that seems very elementary, but for a lot of you that are new, it's like, oh, I never quite thought about it like that. All right, so that's the first thing you have to do is understand what markets to watch. Now, what about if you are getting up in the morning, early before work, and you want to trade the European session? Okay, you want to trade the Euro session. Well, let's say you had some charts up still from last night. And now it's 3 a.m. Europe is opening. Should Aussie yen, and you've only got 2 monitors or 1 monitor, you've got limited space. Is Aussie yen probably the best market to have up now? It was a good one to have up in the evening, but at 3 a.m., as Europe's opening and you've got limited monitor space, should that maybe change and Aussie yen not be one of your top ones to look at? Should you be looking more at, euro yen or euro dollar or pound yen or the euro pound, dollar franc, right? You want to change it, okay? That's what I'm talking about, that I talked about earlier, where don't make a positive into a negative, okay? Trading is a fine line between mastering one thing and then moving on and mastering another thing, but also being fluid. Yeah, like Ernest said, you got to change it. Yeah. Master a system and then master a system or strategy and then master another one and then another one. But learn to change the charts you look at. Guys, a chart is a chart is a chart, right? Does it really matter what the instrument is? As long as you can trade it and your risk tolerance allows you to trade it. Don't always just focus on mastering one market. Learn to trade the markets that you should be trading at that time. What you want to master is reading markets and strategy and system. Okay? Whatever you want to start off with first. If you want to start off with a trending system, fine. Learn a trending strategy and system. Learn it inside out. Learn the rules, the ABCs, the 1, 2, 3s, how to read the markets. Learn a trending strategy. Master it in demo, move it over to live. Now, when you want to add on another strategy, should you add on another trending strategy? Or should you now add on a range-bound strategy? Because the markets don't always trend, do they? Okay? And then learn a chop strategy and master that. Master one at a time, a handful of different strategies that you can apply to any chart. That makes sense? Yeah, Brian says that's my favorite saying. A chart is a chart is a chart. He's like, I use these certain indicators, these certain systems, and then you can apply it to any chart or system. Okay? So don't get married to a market. Master a few different strategies that you can use on any market. And that's what I was trying to talk about is earlier in the evening, Aussie yen might have been a great one to watch because those are the 2 markets that opened up in the evening. But at 3 a.m., and those markets are closed, and you got these other ones open up, you want to see what's going to be moving then, right? Euro dollar and pound yen and pound dollar, like the European stuff. Make the most efficient use of your time. You're taking this time away from your family and your life. Watch what's going to move. Learn to adjust with that. If you're trading in the morning Eastern time or at lunchtime, look at some forex pairs that are going to be moving, some of the US dollar pairs. Or then, hey, remember what I said? Is it the best use of my time to watch the dollar CAD at 7 p.m. at night? No. But if I'm trading at 9:30 or 10 in the morning, dollar CAD might be one of the ones on my list, right? And also, if I'm trading during the daytime or at lunchtime, I'm going to be interested in looking at these U.S. indices that open up at 9:30 and get those morning moves, right? Now, I might not necessarily be so worried about watching the China 50 or you know what I mean? Does that make sense? You got to understand what is moving when, because you're a part-time trader. You don't have a lot of time to sit. So the time that you do take and sit, you want to go where the action is, right? You've got limited time, so where is the most action? And that's what you want to look at, is just simply understand the world you're getting into here with trading and what is moving when. And I need to adjust the things that I look for. I need to adjust the markets and the charts that I watch. So yes, I've heard these things about mastering and focus in trading. Well, what you want to focus and master is one strategy or system at a time. And then be able to take that strategy and system to apply it to any market. And to apply it to the markets that are best to watch during that time and moving the most during that time. Okay? So again, for some of you, this might seem very elementary, but for others, it's like, oh, that's a little bit of a light bulb. It gives me a better path, gives me a better direction of what I need to focus on and master, helps me understand what markets I need to watch at which time, and help make the most of my time, right? Okay, now let's add one piece to that. A lot of part-time traders say, yeah, you know, the spouse agreed to let me trade 3 nights a week. So, honey, let's sit down at the table. What nights can I trade this week? Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. Cool, that works. Thanks, hon. Okay. And if that's all you can do, that's all you can do. How many of you are a part-time trader and you sit there Monday night and you're sitting there and you're sitting there and nothing's happening? So you don't trade Tuesday night, but then Wednesday night you get back on the computer and you look back at Tuesday night and things just blew up. Things were moving, they went crazy. You could have made all this money and you're like, what is going on? Oh, I missed it. And then there comes Wednesday night again where you're like, oh, okay, maybe it's going to move tonight, and it doesn't happen again. You seem to always miss it. Show of hands, ever happen? Especially to those of you that are new or are part-time and can only trade like 2 nights a week, and you seem to always trade the wrong nights. Why does the market go flat when I'm watching it, but these other nights, it moves great? And I missed it. And I listened to that John guy do that webinar, and I was doing what he said, and I was only watching the proper instruments, but I'm still missing it. This isn't working. I give up. Well, there's this little thing called news. And news can have a big effect on the markets. Yes? But it doesn't necessarily mean that there's news every single night of the week, is there? So maybe you didn't realize, oh, Monday night there was no news. Last night, Tuesday night, when I didn't trade, there was this Aussie news event coming out. There was these reports coming out of Japan that moved the markets, but I didn't trade last night. So maybe just one little key thing to look at is don't just randomly schedule your nights to trade. Over the weekend, Sunday night, whatever, look up, there you go. Ernest, you just said it. Ernest says look up the economic calendar every weekend. Exactly. Okay? Over the weekend, look up the news events coming out for that next week. All right? And use that to tell you what nights to trade and not trade. Don't let trading consume your life and consume your family and take you away for you to sit there doing nothing. A lot of the big keys to being successful as a part-time and nighttime trader is, first of all, yes, having a good strategy and system and having more than one. Because the markets don't always range, they don't always trend. You got to have more than one play in your book, right? You got to know how to trade both. For two, the thing we just covered, Make the most use of your time in front of the computer by watching the right markets for that right time. And then from there, taking it a step further of only choose nights to sit in front of a computer that you have the best chance of getting movement, right? Does that make sense? Again, for some people, it's like, duh, like this elementary. For others, it's like, oh, right. That is very simple, but just those two things can make a huge difference. Knowing the right nights to trade and not trade, knowing the right markets to trade and not trade, means all the difference of sitting there with nothing happening. Okay, you can go online and there's plenty of news websites to go to. You can check out our website, apexinvesting.com. We've got every week it's updated. We've got a news calendar over there that tells you, the days, the times, what the news event is, what to look out for. You can hop on over to right here, forexfactory.com. Okay, great site. I use it all the time. Forex Factory. Okay, and you can go through and scroll through the days here, and it will tell you, like today, for example, what are all the news events coming out? All right, some of these in red will be like, hey, this is high impact expected. Hey, tonight, Aussie, 9:30, high impact expected. The monetary policy statement. You can get some details about it. Okay, you can look up and, like for inventories. All right, like earlier today, natural gas inventory happens every Thursday. It'll give you details about it. It will show you, hey, it was forecasted to be at 49. It came in at 46. The previous was that. You can get some good information, all right? Or you can filter out, you can go through and find, the days you want to look at. You can filter out. Yeah, Brian, exactly. You can filter. Brian says, I only look at the high impacts. So on a Saturday or Sunday, if you can pull up Forex Factory and go through and look at every night of the week and say, hey, what nights have high impact? And now also keep in mind, Forex Factory will give you every, thing out there. You want to look and see that there's pairs on Nadex for you to trade of each of these. But you go look and you see which one has the most impact and which one has what nights should I trade? What nights should I not trade? I mean, here's a good example here. This past Monday night, looking ahead, you didn't really see anything crazy, right? And high impact. You didn't see any reds, right? Okay. And then here you've got some on, New Zealand, which can affect Aussie and on Aussie. Oh, okay. That was what, Tuesday, and then you've got Wednesday, then you got, okay. Point being, guys, check out the Apex website. There's a big news calendar over there. Forex Factory, this shows you news events that can affect Forex. Shows you how it affected the market in the past. Do you see how just those two very basic things right there? Know which markets to watch at what time of the day or night. And then, if you've only got limited nights to trade, look up the news and plan it out. And that's how you plan the nights you trade that week. Just those very two simple things can make a big, big difference. Is there anyone on here on this webinar, show of hands, say, yep, that's me, that struggled with some of that with nighttime trading part-time, that's never thought about this or never even looked at this? Never thought about scheduling your trading on the nights of around news, or about, hey, I've been watching some of the wrong markets because I've had a favorite market. Okay, a little bit of light bulb, a little bit of direction. This might really help. Just these very basic things. And it's just a very simple scheduling. Okay. Carlos says, does forecast mean the direction of the market? No, Carlos, forecast means more like today. For example, right here, natural gas. Okay. Well, every Wednesday, for example, the weekly oil inventory report comes out. Every Thursday, the natural gas inventory report comes out. Okay, and the forecast was, hey, what the what the pros expect the report to be, forecasted to be around like 49, okay, but it came in at 46. So it was less than what was expected, okay? There was less, supply than what was expected. And we know how supply and demand affect price, right? Or let's go yesterday, the oil inventory report, okay? Forecasted to be about, 2.8, it only came in at 1.4. So we know how supply and demand can affect markets, right? And if there's an expectation of, oh, I expect a lot of inventory to be available, but the report comes out going, oh, there's only this much available. What do you think that normally does to price? It's supply and demand, right? The less of something that's available, the higher the price. Or the more than what we thought was available, the lower the price to liquidate, and so on. Okay, so forecast does not mean the direction of the market. It's referring to what that actual news event was. And in the case of like inventories, it's what the expected forecast of inventory amounts were. Okay, does that make sense, Carlos? Okay, but you can check some of those out. You can also go to some other sites that I mean, like I said, I use the one on our Apex site quite a bit for these big events, but you can go to this site right here. It's called financialjuice.com. Just create a quick username, password. It kind of keeps you up to date. This just happened. This came out, and people are expecting this, and Amazon this, and Aussie dollar, bears it all over. It's eyeing this level, and it's just kind of good to keep up with some of this stuff. Know kind of what's going on. Something big just happened in the world, and this could move this, or stocks hit this high because of this and that. A lot of this is very technical. There's a lot of technical and fundamentals in here, but just a few sites that I use. But for forex and for nighttime trading, the Apex calendar and this forex factory are great. Really helps you kind of hone in and know where to focus your time. Okay, so guys, I hope that helps. A very, very basic webinar, but just these couple little basics helping you to really hone in and focus your schedule of what nights to trade, what times to trade, and what markets to trade can really be helpful. Okay, and you just have to be smart about it. I mean, for example, on some of these nights where it's like, okay, like the other night, all right, look, we've got these reports coming out. So I want to trade this night. Awesome. Okay, honey, hey, on the 7th, Tuesday, that's the night I'm going to trade because there's news. Okay, cool. So you're going to trade your regular schedule? Yeah, I'm just going to be on 7 to 9 because there's news that night. What time is the news coming out? 11. Just pay attention to these little details. Strike when the striking is good. Make sense? Check it out, guys. Start to utilize some of this. Start to adjust your schedules for the week and adjust what markets you watch, and see if that really helps you to make a difference in, what you see happening during those times you're taking out to trade. Okay, and hop on to nadex.com. Go to those archived webinars. There's multiple webinars in there about some different strategies that you can trade. Trending markets, range-bound markets, how to trade news events, all kind of good stuff in there. Okay, and you can go and, like I said, utilize this Forex Factory site. Hop on over to apexinvesting.com. Visit us there. We've got some great step-by-step training courses for binaries and spreads, and talk about strategies and systems. We talk about on the news calendar. JD, you're asking about that. About before and during and after. What kind of news events do you want to be looking for trades, potentially before the news event, or after or during? We talk a lot about that on there. That depends on kind of what strategy you're doing. JD, some news events, the markets move around beforehand. Some they go like flat until right at it. talk a lot about that on there. So check out that those pages and that calendar as well. Okay, Ernest, that's on there as well about some of the different, because see, different news reports affect the market differently. Okay, some of them, you know, you don't want to get into too early. Some you want to, you know, wait, and some you want to get in early. Some you want to get in right at it, you know, to get the best pricing. It's all kind of different strategies, but a lot of it's based around what are you trading? Are you trading binaries or are you trading spreads, first of all? Secondly, what type of news event is it? And there's always more than one way to skin a cat, okay? So go check that out. Visit us over there at apexinvesting.com. If there's anything we can do for you or questions we can answer, we're happy to do that. So, guys, thank you so much for taking time out today. I hope that was helpful and useful for you. Hop on over to nadex.com and get signed up for some of the upcoming webinars. That way you're registered and get reminder emails. Have a great rest of your day and week and a great weekend, and we will see you next time. Thank you so much for being here.